Starship Troopers is one of the most well-known works of military science fiction out there. Authored by Robert A. Heinlein, the subject matter has inspired a film and a television series. The exciting plot, coupled with the impending threat from extraterrestrial creatures, was something that made this an immensely popular work that stays relevant even today. The movie, released in 1999, was directed by Paul Verhoeven and was largely inspired by the original novel, but it did have certain original aspects to it as well, as did the show, which was developed by Richard Reynis, Duane Kapizzi and Jeff Kline, and aired for one season on the syndicated Bohbot Kids Network from August of 1999. The show had a greater degree of editing, especially when it came to the political aspects of the novel and the movie. However, after the end of the show, there wasn't a lot of additional development in the series until Starship Troopers Blaze of Glory was written by Tony Lee. Sam Hart and Rod Reis lent their art to the comic, continuing the saga of mobile infantry. In today's video, we'll be taking a look at what happens in the series and how it adds up to the Ruffneck Chronicles. Let's dive in, shall we? Now, just before we go into our video, we do have to make a small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to the channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means an awful lot. Thank you very much. Now let's begin. The Ruffneck Chronicles. The show follows the adventures of the Mobile Infantry Squad, also known as Razac's Roughnecks, during a war between newly united humanity and space creatures called bugs or arachnids. After their unit crushes an infestation on the planet Pluto, humanity unites under the strategically integrated coalition of nations, Psychon, which declares all-out war against the bugs. A group of troopers, popularly known as Razac's Roughnecks, or Alpha Team, returns to Pluto during the Operation Pest Control. When Psychon spots a massive transport bug, it's revealed that the bugs are not native to Pluto. Following the trail, it's discovered that the bugs originate from the planet Hydora, which orbits a star in the constellation Virgo. A brain bug, an intelligent bug that controls others to prevent them from going berserk and destroying each other, is discovered. The bugs have a singular mission: to control the universe, stopping at nothing until the human race is extinct. Psychon attempts to establish a base on the planet Tophet, inhabited by a species called Skinnies. However, the Skinnies have been enslaved by the bugs to mine Xylon, a precious metal critical to the transport bugs. The Mobile Infantry intervenes, destroying the control bugs overseeing the Skinnies, thus freeing the planet. This victory comes at a cost, as Carl Jenkins, one of the troopers, suffers severe mental trauma. Eventually, the Skinnies join Psychon to fight the bugs, as they lack interstellar travel capabilities. Psychon later locates the bug homeworld, Klendathu, and launches an assault to eliminate the bug queen. Although the queen escapes and heads towards Earth, her transport bug is destroyed in a desperate attempt to stop her. Despite this, she reaches Earth, and with countless bug reinforcements, the war shifts to home turf. The battle has only just begun, leaving no rest for the Roughnecks. The series is divided into 8 campaigns, each a story arc documenting the Mobile Infantry Division's adventures in different locations. The Pluto campaign takes place on Pluto, while the Hydora campaign occurs on Hydora, a planet almost entirely covered in water. The Tophet campaign focuses on Tophet, the Skinnies' homeworld. The Tesca campaign takes place on the jungle moon Tesca Nemorosa, and the Zephyr campaign unfolds on a frozen asteroid. These are followed by the Klendathu campaign on the Bugs' homeworld, and the series concludes with the Trackers and Homeward campaigns. John T. Rico, the series' main protagonist, is an exceptional soldier who distrusts technology and relies on his instincts. Isabel Flores, known as Dizzy, harbors unrequited feelings for Rico but eventually becomes his partner. Jean Razac, the team's seasoned leader and namesake, dies heroically while saving Rico. Francis Bruto, another Roughnecks member, has a son who later joins the team. Richard LaCroix, the team's medical officer, and Jeff Gossard, a tech expert, provide comic relief. Gossard briefly dates Dizzy, but they break up when she realizes she still has feelings for Rico. Carmen Ibanez, a pilot in the Psychon fleet, is initially the object of Rico's affection. Carl Jenkins, Rico and Dizzy's old friend with telepathic powers, falls into a coma after the Pluto campaign, but later returns partially healed. Tifai, a colonel of the Skinnies, initially serves as an antagonist, but later joins the Roughnecks during a Tesca campaign. Though initially met with distrust, Tifai eventually becomes an invaluable team member. The Ruffneck Chronicles concludes with the tragic yet heroic death of Lieutenant Razac, after which Rico is promoted to lieutenant. As their new leader, Rico leads the Roughnecks back to Psychon, headquarters in Oahu, to defend the island from an unprecedented bug attack. Struggling to fill Razac's shoes, Rico faces challenges, particularly with new team members Max Bruto and Charlie Zim. During a massive bug assault, Rico falters but ultimately steps up as the leader. Despite their efforts, Psychon is forced to evacuate and abandon the island, leaving the implication that the worst is yet to come. What happened after the Ruffneck Chronicles? Starship Troopers Blaze of Glory explored. The comic opens with troopers stranded at the Alamar Bay Psychon Research and Design Center. The narration begins ominously. Bugs are not life as we know it. These creatures can smell blood from a kilometer away through any medium, and they exist solely to kill. They lack a soul, making negotiations impossible. Troopers Jones, Martz, Andrews and Murray are left with only 2 weeks worth of supplies, after which they may be forced to rely on bug stew for survival. They attempt to send a message to Psychon headquarters for retrieval, but their equipment is severely damaged and the message barely gets through. As the situation grows increasingly dire, things take a turn for the worse when the bugs launch an attack in overwhelming numbers. Despite their brave defense, it's clear they will face a crushing defeat without reinforcements. The scene shifts to Camp Arthur Curry in the Terra Sol system, where the mobile infantry unit is being trained. Trainees are reminded that troopers have no safe jobs. They occupy terrain, root out enemies and fight with grit and passion. As the backbone of the military, they must persevere until something better replaces them. Sergeant Zim dispatches the batch and awaits the next ones as the newly graduated troopers celebrate. Among the graduates is Will Tanner, who spots his brother Max coming to congratulate him. Max, a hero from the Pluto mission, lost an arm in the line of duty. Although relatives are usually barred from such events, Max, being a veteran, is allowed to come and wish his little brother well. Will excitedly introduces him to the fellow trooper Felix. Just then, orders arrive for the new graduates to report to their stations. Rufus, one of their peers, announces that he has been assigned to Blackie's Blackguards, a unit led by the renowned Captain Blackmore. Meanwhile, Will, Felix and their friend Singh are allocated to Tamari's Tigers, one of the most respected units. Sergeant Zim, though emotional, expresses pride in his trainees and remarks how he would prefer to be on the battlefield killing bugs himself. Will bids farewell as they prepare to board their ships. Back in Psychon HQ, Terra, Sky Marshal Focarilli asks a subordinate for help. The retrieval request from Alamar Bay has been intercepted and Focarilli is facing a dilemma about sending reinforcements. As it turns out, her son is among those trapped there, and therefore she is too personally involved to take a conscious and calculated step. It's true that the MI never leave one of their kind behind, but the drawbacks of any mission need to be considered before sending additional troops in. Focarilli confides that she had her son when she was a cadet, and then she put him up for adoption. They got in touch 16 years later when he wanted to join the mobile infantry. She was trying to bond with him for the last 5 years to make up for their earlier 16 years, but now he was about to die, and she did not know whether she should let him die or send troops to their death to try and rescue her son. However, she's told by Roberts that Alamar Bay is a strategic location, and ever since Pluto, Psychon has been hopping planets to find bases with tactical superiority, and Alamar Bay is one of them. Right now, it's not about whether her son's life is at stake, it is about the control of the prime locations of the Psychon HQ. Focarilli agrees and asks for retrieval teams to be sent immediately. Will, Felix and Singh scramble around to get onto their ship as they're already late. On their way, they meet Carmen Ibanez, who points them in the right direction. The three of them arrive at the ship and introduce themselves. Will is an instant hit because of the legendary status of his brother. Everyone knows who Max Tanner is. Sergeant Locke arrives and tells the recruits in a steely voice that Tamari is God, and when she's not there, he is the voice of God. This is all they need to know while working under the command. Just then, Lieutenant Tamari herself arrives and informs everyone about a retrieval mission that they've just got in and says everyone needs to be there at their best. Things are looking sour at Alamar Bay as the bugs are overwhelming the troopers who have fallen back inside the facility, desperately trying to stay alive. All of a sudden, they feel that the bugs are also retreating, and initially they rejoice, but then they realize that it's not a retreat but rather a regroup. The bugs are about to arrive with greater force and numbers, and the troopers are in royal danger. As the Tigers begin to suit up for their retrieval mission, they are repeatedly told that this is a standard mission and should involve no heroics whatsoever. Sergeant Locke also informs them that he wants 30% of whatever body loot they find. With a bang, the troopers descend from their ship, ready to haul ass in Alamar Bay. The narrator explains how making a drop is one of the most terrifying parts of the job of a trooper, and this is why the MI are considered elite. They drop off 30 minutes into the atmosphere wearing a metal suit, which makes them visible to the predators on the ground, giving them enough time to come up with a defense. Just before they can hit the ground, they are jettisoned out of their suits and asked to make sure they make a safe landing. Will asks where Felix is, since he's nowhere to be seen, and Singh tells him that his suit had malfunctioned and he had burnt to death in the atmosphere before they could help him. Just then a bug appears out of nowhere and attacks Mar. To thwart it, they use a grenade, but Mar dies in the process. Tamari says that they lost 4 men on the drop, including Felix, and now at Maragon they are down to 11 men. Without trying to attract the attention of more bugs, they make their way over to the facility to look for survivors and bring them back. In order to ward off bugs, the entrance to the facility is booby-trapped with propulsion fluid, which Singh discovers and saves the lives of everyone except Alan, who trips on it and dies. They try to find a way to open the doors through the facility, but they've been shut already and they need to be hacked open. They find a tunnel and try to get in through that, but a bug emerges from it and it takes all of them to subdue it. Tamari reminds everyone that this is a retrieval mission only and they shouldn't do anything to attract the attention of the bugs lest they attack in greater numbers. As the group makes their way back inside the facility, they come across survivors at different levels. They split up, and Tamari instructs the rookies to stay alive. Will and Singh wonder about how Felix turned out to be the first among them to die, while the rest of the group battles bugs. The Normandy beach, orbiting above, comes under attack from bugs and sends an urgent message to Tamari, stating that retrieval will be delayed. Captain Lily clashes with an ensign over the risk of losing more lives in the rescue operation. Meanwhile, the team in Alamar Bay reports that the bug reinforcements are arriving in even greater numbers. With no air support and the odds stacked against them, they acknowledge that only a miracle can save them now. The retrieval team struggles against all the odds to get survivors out and learns that Giles is no longer alive. Tamari and the group find the survivors and ask them to regroup so they can be retrieved, but Andrew refuses to leave, insisting that the research they are conducting is classified and important enough to risk his life for. Locke becomes furious and is ready to get physical, but Tamari reminds him that they need to lay low for a bit longer, as the Normandy beach will not be able to assist them immediately. The ship is under attack by plasma missiles from the bugs and is on the verge of going down. At this point, everything seems bleak, with the bugs' victory over both the ship and the troopers appearing imminent. Will and Singh explore the facility's levels for other survivals and stumble upon a strange room resembling an experimentation center. To their horror, they discover that humans and robots are being experimented on, and the humans are none other than MI troopers. Will is incensed, seeing this as a disgrace to the mobile infantry and all the troopers who sacrificed their lives. Just then, a strange creature, part robot, part human, appears and in broken speech begs them not to hurt him. Will realizes that this creature was once an MI trooper and asks if he was fused with a robot against his will. The team begins to suspect that the experiments at Alamar Bay may not be the real reason Psychon sent them to retrieve everyone. Meanwhile, the Normandy beach loses all control and is forced to crash on the planet. Tamari, shocked by the news, instructs her team to stay inside the facility and lay low, as extraction is no longer possible. Tensions run high amongst the groups as they grapple with the knowledge of the experiments conducted on the MIs. They learn that Dr. Andrews was working on creating robot-human hybrids to make troopers more effective against the bugs. However, Andrews claims that they only used dead troopers for the experiments, as nothing else could replicate the actions of an MI. Despite this explanation, disagreements erupt within the teams. Tamari refocuses everyone on the immediate goal of staying alive. She asks Will to check on Locke and bring him back. Will finds Locke bullying Fockerilli's son, extorting him. Locke reveals his jealousy over Fockerilli's influence in ensuring her son's safety and declares his plans to use her son as leverage to bargain for his own survival. Just as Locke seems poised to have his way, Tamari intervenes, subduing him. Even as he is arrested and relieved of his duties, Locke remains defiant, threatening Will for his role in the arrest. Amidst the chaos, Dr. Andrews accidentally falls and breaks his neck. Then, with a massive explosion, the Normandy beach crashes to the ground. While everyone aboard perishes, the explosion does manage to annihilate all the bugs swarming the planet, a small bittersweet victory. Rico and his team arrive at Alamar Bay, tasked with securing the perimeter and rescuing survivors. The comic concludes with the ballad of Private Roger Young, who fought and died valiantly. Marvelous verdict. Starship Troopers Blaze of Glory has faced criticism for being a spin-off of the original work, introducing new characters and featuring a completely different storyline. Only Carmen Ibanez and Zim remain from the original cast. However, this doesn't detract from the comic's quality. Despite deviating from the main narrative, it explores themes of valor, camaraderie and ethics effectively, provides an unflinching look at how field missions can unfold, how unpredictability and lack of preparation can lead to catastrophic consequences. The Normandy beach, which faced no imminent danger at the start of the story, ultimately meets a tragic end, killing everybody on board. The comic also delves into the controversial subject of bioweaponry. The artwork captures the story's emotions commendably, while the brisk pacing keeps readers engaged, leaving little room for suspense. points overall. Starship Troopers Blaze of Glory serves as a fitting continuation of the Roughnecks Chronicles for fans craving more military science fiction. What did you think of it? Let us know in the comments down below. And until then, take care, and we'll be back with more marvellous content for you soon.